Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our mobile-friendly sessions. So this is week two, which touches on functions. So functions is actually a core topic. It's one of the most important topics in this module. I hope you don't get any difficulty moving with it. I have an echo. Somebody confirm if I still have an echo.
Yeah, there is an echo.
Okay. How about now?
You're okay on our side.
How about now?
You're okay.
You're okay, you're okay.
Okay. I'm using my earphones. So functions in that. So what do we know about a function? So a function is basically a block of code that performs a specific task. See, for example, what's the function of a laptop? Maybe to keep your data, to do your job. So a laptop is meant to do a specific task. So a function, in this fun tutorial, we'll dive into functions in that. Functions are blocks of code that perform a specific task. Specific task. Okay? They are your go-to when you want to reuse code and keep things clean. So, when you started coding, you were writing everything in bulk. For example, you do mathematical operations in bulk just by using variables. But what if we use functions? What if we make our work cleaner, our work reusable, and just things clean? So functions have three main advantages. The first is no more code repetition. You don't need to repeat yourself over and over again. Once you have a function, you will be able to proceed with it. Okay. Okay. Break complex programs into smaller and manageable parts. So that's reduce the complexity of a program so that it can be manageable. Write cleaner and more organized code. So as a good programmer, we're always encouraged to write clean code. Okay. Avoid repetitions, avoid a lot of spaces, avoid jargons. Just use your code. Just make sure your code is clean and more organized. That's it. Yeah. So example one. This is a simple program that prints name using thanks. Okay. The name of function is print name. Okay. So let's have a see. We earlier did something on printing out something like a string. Okay. So how would we print a string? Let's just do an example. Function one. There's a part that's seeing the reflection of my mirror window. Switch on the window. So how would you print a name? For example, Boniface. So void main, you can choose to, students can choose to, how would you print the word Boniface? How would you print? How would you print the word? How would you print the name Boniface? Okay. Remind me, you can use a string, you can use a variable string as equals to on page. Then you print what do you print? Sorry, name. You print name. So what do you say? See? Okay. Now, but if you want to print this as a function, you want to use a function to print this. Okay. You want to use a function to print this. So here is where our functions come. Okay. The first thing you can declare your function, print what you want to be printed, then you do your print statement, and then at the and in your void main, which is actually the main thing in that programming, you just call the function. The reason of calling the function is for it to work. If you don't call your function, it will not work. Okay? It's just like I'm sure if somebody doesn't call your name, you will not respond, right? So if I say Boniface, I'm sure Boniface will respond. So if I don't, he will not respond. So that's what calling a function means. So if you call the function, that's when now it will be invoked. Okay? So let's print that in a function. So let me first put this in. Let me just put this in. Choosing to use this long root instead of using multi-line. So function void, let's use print then. Okay. Then we print voids. Then, so we've already declared our plan. Print out the name one person. Then, for this function to work, okay, for this function to work, remember you have to have a void main function. Okay, so void main then we just call the function. Sorry, this, let me tell this. We just call the function that printed out the name for it to work. And that is it. So if I print, it will say what it is. That makes sense? So assuming I don't call this, you will not get an output simply because you have not called the function. So this is how you write a function. Now, as you can see, it looks a bit more advanced compared to just writing just writing guys, is my voice okay? I'm seeing people in the group that my voice is not clear. Just confirm if you can hear me, guys, instead of me talking to myself. Is it poor?
Okay, you're audible, but it could be better.
It could be better.
Yeah.
I think it's your voice, Alan.
Allied, I think you can drink some water.
Yeah, hot water.
It should be okay, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
much
You are not.
better. Yes.
Okay. I think it's just the morning voice, guys. Do not blame, please. Yeah, so have you seen now how a function works? Like you can choose to write your, you can choose to print out your stuff just by using the variables and just say print, you print your variable name. But now, if you use a function, you see a function makes your code a bit, you might think it's a bit complex, but it's a bit, you look like a programmer. I'd say that you look like a programmer by doing this, okay? So, are we all together? By show of hands, have you seen how functions work in the simplest example? So, okay, let's do another example. Example 2, it's the elements. So example 2, function to add sum of two numbers. Okay. So as you can see here we have a function to find the sum of two numbers. Okay. Void find sum. So find sum is our function name. Okay. Then inside the parentheses we have parameters. So I know we've not touched on parameters, but just have a look. We'll get it in the next 2 minutes. Parameters you have int num1, comma, int num2. Okay. Then we open our function, we get inside. Int sum, remember we're getting sum. Int sum is equals to num1 plus num2. Print the sum of num1 and num2 is sum. So this is, remember what we did about strings, concatenation and string interpolation. So we've already printed out the sum. We've already performed the sum of the two numbers. Then in our void main function, we are just calling the function with two numbers. We are calling function find sum. But find sum had parameters inside its parentheses. Parameters are int num1 and int num2, which tells us that num1 is an integer and num2 is an integer. So find sum parentheses. Then in your parameters, you ensure that you input two integers. That's 10 and 20. That's how you get your sum. So let's see if this code is actually working. Function sum dot that. So the sum of 10 and 20 is that. So it essentially prints out what you had performed here. What you had performed here. But it has to be called. Calling the function with two numbers. Calling the function with two numbers. So if you don't call your function, it will not work. So that's how it works. So assuming I omit this, what do I expect as an output? What do I expect as the output?
There will be no output.
Somebody else?
No output.
Somebody else? Last person? Okay. You all have said, three of you have said no output. Why don't we have output?
We didn't put in the parameters.
Somebody else?
The function hasn't been called.
Somebody else?
You commented the code.
Anybody else?
For you to get the output, you need to call the find sum function inside the main.
I think that should summarize. So all of you are right in many ways. So for a function to work, it has to be called. Okay? Function has to be called. And hence, it wouldn't have worked. But now since we've called it, it will work. But remember your parameters 10 and 20, because you said your function has two integers. Int num1 and int num2. Yeah. So let's proceed. So key points. In that, functions are also objects. So you can pass them around just like any other object. Okay? Stick to the lower camel case naming convention for functions. I'm sure you've seen the word find sum. F is small, but H is capital. That's lower camel case. Always use lower camel case for your function parameters. So for parameters in this case, say it's num1, it's num2. So if I was to name it num n, I'd have used it like this: num n2, num n1. That's lower camel case. So always stick to that. Don't forget that. Then yeah, you're done with functions. You're done with the fundamental
Alan.
functions. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt your teaching. It seems you forgot your headphones or something in Lagos.
Yeah, I forgot it. I forgot in Lagos. I just started in Kenya, and it seems the voice is not okay in Kenya. Guys,
Yeah, because we are on our end. Yes, we can hear you, but we're having some. It's like we're struggling somehow.
I don't know if I should connect with. I don't know if I should connect with my headphones.
Or you partied too much in the weekend.
No. I was just watching football.
Okay.
So allow me to change. Let me use my headphones.
No, you're okay. Your voice is okay now.
Okay. So thanks so much for the feedback. It really improves our learning. So, but if anyone has solutions on how to fix computer audio, especially using Linux, kindly help me. I've tried for like 2 weeks using some commands. I'm not successful. So let's proceed. So use lower camel case when you're naming your functions. So stick to the lower camel case naming convention for functions. It's actually a convention. Like, do not go out of it. So we have types of functions. Okay. Types of functions. Functions are blocks of code that perform specific tasks. And here are the different types. The first one, we have a function that has no parameter and has no return type. So what does that mean? This is a function that neither takes any input nor returns any value. So this function does not take any input, okay, and does not return any value. You will see that. The next one is we have a function that has parameter and no return type. So this function takes inputs, but that doesn't give anything back. So it takes inputs, but does not give anything back. So return type is now the give. Okay. The third one is we have a function that has no parameter, but has a return type. This is a function that returns something, but doesn't need any input. Okay. What about the last one? So we have a function that has a parameter and return type. So this one has both of it, both of them. Function that takes inputs and gives back a result. So these names are a bit confusing, but I hope it will not confuse you. So the first one, function with no parameter and no return type. In this function, you do not pass any parameter, and you do not expect any return. Okay. So you remember the function that we printed out a name? We will still repeat it. So we don't have a parameter here, and we don't have a return type. Okay. So parameter is this list of values. Okay. See this inside the parenthesis, int num1 and int num2. This is what we call parameters. So let's begin our function with no param, no return. Dot that. So in this case, we're just going to print a name of a person, which will not really have parameters. I will not even have a name. Okay. So you can choose to write the name the way we wrote by writing it here. Then we just call the function. Or we can choose to start with our void main function and call the function before even we write the function name and proceed. In short, you can interchange these two. Okay. You can choose to write a function, then below it, I put the void main, which calls the function name. Okay, it works the same. So let me just use let me start with void main. So in our function is print name. So we've already called our function. So so we already know what our function will be named. So void print name. Void print name. Then we print and use a John. Yeah. So in short, this function has no parameter, has no return value. Okay. We do not have anything here in the parameterized list. The list of parameters, it's empty. We don't have anything inside. Okay. And also you've not written anything to do with return. So it's just a bare one, no return type, and no parameter. I run it. I hope we will see John. Okay, yeah, John is there. So I think you've noted that you can interchange these things. This one can go below above the void main, or the void main can go above it. So it's just you. So maybe you can say, which one would you prefer? The void main coming before or the void main coming after? Which one would you prefer?
Both.
After.
After? Yeah, I
Yes.
think I'd prefer if I take this one below this, above this one, so that I just come and call it and I am done. I think this one is like it shows some flow of sequences, right? It shows some flow. Like this one, I've written the function, I've done everything, now we're just calling it. But it depends on, okay? There are many ways to go to town. You can use an aeroplane, you can walk, you can run. Yeah, so many ways. You can protest. Yeah, I'm not using guys to go to protest. So the next guy is a function with parameter and no return value. Okay. So here we will have a parameter. Okay. So here, print function name, print full name is a function with a parameter and no return type function that takes the name of the parameter. So here we don't have the return, but we have the params. So void main print name Aaron Jackson. Okay. Then you said that we have parameters, but we don't have return values or return types. So void print name. Void print name. Inside the parentheses, we have the parameter, or rather parameters. So parameters, we have string name. So what do we expect in our parameter? We've said string name. So what do we expect there? A name. Okay? We expect a name that's a name is usually a string, unless you are called maybe 150, 180. You use numericals to identify yourself, but normally names are usually alphabetical. Okay, maybe a nickname. So print name, string name. So this is the parameter, and the parameter is a string, which says you will have a string called name, and then you print my name is name, and there you go with your Aaron Jackson. So let me check this. Then I show you how we can do it. So we said with params, no return. Params, no return. Dot that. So which one do you prefer? Can I interchange this first? So that we just move sequentially. Okay. So allow me to go step by step. Let's just have a look. Here we have a function say print name, void print name, and it has parameters which says string name. Okay. Then the same function prints out my name is name. My name is this name now. See here? That's my name. So this is a parameter. Okay. So for a function to run, we have to call it. So we go to our void main, write our void main function and say print name, but the print name function had parameters. Do not forget these parameters. Okay? Do not forget those parameters. What does the parameter tell us? String name. So for us, we'll just give a name that's in a string, which is a full quotation mark, either single quotes or double quotes. So long as it's we just cover it on a string and we write our name there, it will print out. So we've given it the parameters, and when you print it, you see this guy. My name is Aaron Jackson. So in short here, once you call the function here, it brings everything that this function will do. It just brings everything, like it pulls it down. So this function has a parameter called string name, and it also printed out my name is name. So what do I do? Once I call it, it will bring what it was, which is functionality. So my name is Aaron Jackson. And we give 1 minute to digest. Then we can use somebody's name so that we can begin.
I have a question.
Yes.
So when we are invoking a variable, we put it inside the brackets of the function.
Yeah. So these ones here now, we call it parameters. Okay. We call it parameters. These are now parameters. So do you remember when we calculated the sum of two numbers?
Yes.
So the parameters were int num1, comma, int num2. Okay. And then we did the sum. So once we call the function, that's when now we input the values to the parameters. Int num1, we gave it 10 because 10 is an integer, comma 20 because 20 is also an integer, and we chose it to be our num2.
I also have a question.
Mhm.
So what's the difference between this one and the one for the find sum? Because I'm seeing we still have string name and we had int num1 in the other one.
There's no difference.
Okay.
Somebody else? Can we proceed?
Yes.
What does the majority say? Just raise your hand if you need us to proceed. Somebody saying where?
We can proceed.
I don't know what where means. I don't speak Swahili. I don't know what where means. I'm from West Africa. I'm from West Africa. I think where means functions, if I understand it well. So you want me to do another example? Raise your hand if you want me to do another example. Please raise your hand if you want me to do another example. Guys, it's getting deeper. It's getting terrible. So maybe somebody can give me an example to do. Like what do I say? Do we do for numbers, calculation of numbers? Somebody explain the example that I should do. Can I do one for displaying my name?
We can try the numbers one.
Okay, allow me to do calculation with one. Okay, please.
Okay.
So, example with that. I'll just be comparing this to the other one so that we see how it goes. Okay, so I will start with a function, then I call it at the last part. Okay, wait, what do we call our function? Get sum. Okay, get sum. So our function will have parameters. Get sum, parenthesis, I will have int num1, comma, int num2. All right. Then what do I do inside? I want to calculate the sum of these two numbers. So int sum is equals to num1 plus num2. I think that one is okay. Right? Are we there? Are we together up to that point? Are we understanding what has happened?
Yeah, we're together.
Yes.
So I've written the function, given its name get sum. Then in it, I have parameters. Parameters is a list of arguments that you give the function. Okay? So the arguments in the parameters are int num1 and int num2, which means I'm working with integers. And I've used double, but I'm choosing integers. So, and I perform sum of my numbers. Int sum is equals to num1 plus num2. Here I can even still use var if I'm not sure if my output will be a full number, a whole number. Okay, it's the same thing. So after performing my sum, what do I do? Like, see, of course, you need to print your sum to see it. guys, let's talk one. After doing sum, what do you always do? You see, you want to say
print.
out. Yeah. So
print.
let's just make it very simple. Let's just print sum. Like we just want to say sum. We don't want many stories. Okay? We don't want many stories, guys. So what's remain? Void main function which comes now to call our main function which now calls our
Get some fun.
yeah. Now we are calling our
Get some function.
yeah, or get some function. So it will not work if you not call it. Okay. Space. So it will not work unless you call it. Just as I said, you will not trust. If now I say Lona and there's nobody called Lona in the class, will somebody really respond? Like Boniface, can you respond to Lona? Like to any name that comes?
No.
Exactly. So for this function to respond, it has to be called. So this one it does not have options. Because I remember when you're growing up, you'd be called maybe to be sent by your parents or guardians, and you would not respond so that you cannot be sent. True or true? It's true. Yeah. So here you have to go. This one you have to be sent. So for this function to run, it has to be called. What was our function name? Get sum. Get sum. So do not forget. Get sum. And what did get sum have inside?
Integers.
It had integer num1 and integer num2. These are parameters.
Yes, it had two parameters.
Yeah. It had two parameters, it had two arguments, or it had two inputs. Okay. So anything you see inside the first, I can call it the first bracket of a function. Those are inputs or parameters. Okay. So, and they are separated by a comma. Int num1, comma, int num2. So I can choose 80, comma, 90. And I don't forget my semicolon. What do you expect? Answer it. Digest and ask questions.
Alan. So my question is, can you have like a function that is able to like have more than okay, like here we are doing the get sum function. So like it's getting the sum of two integers. So like, can we have a function that will have when we call that function, it will be able to like print something like it will do the addition, the sum, it can do the multiplication, it can do the subtraction. If we just use the one, will you just use one function or we'll have to use multiple functions?
Let's add one var difference.
Yeah.
Is equals to num1 minus num2, right?
Yeah.
So we're just performing all mathematical operations. Allow me to use tab just to ensure that we go faster. So quotient is division, right? So
yeah.
So we performed the difference, which is minus num1 minus num2. Product multiplication num1 minus times num2. Quotient division. Then remember, we just printed sum only here. So we also need to print difference, print product, and print quotient. True Is it okay?
Yes.
So allow us to run. What do you get? What do you get?
The results.
Results of sum, difference, product, and quotient. So do you remember when you said that function can help you reuse your code?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is it. You can reuse your code.
Yeah.
It makes it very simple to reuse your code. Like I've just called the function and input the parameters. And the parameters will just do anything that the function has to do. See? 80, 90, and all of them are working on the commands. So it should be this simple. I hope it is coming home.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Some of you say that it's coming home for World Cup, and you live in in some areas in Kenya. It's coming home where it's going to Argentina. So, yeah, so I hope this one is coming now to your village. Exact. Not like football. Yeah, so functions are very simple. They are very simple and are very interesting. And I'm very happy that the student asked the question so that we could see this. Okay? I'm getting cold. I don't know. All right. Next. Sylvester Otieno, are you okay? Guys, I'll be giving you some shout outs. So I hope I'm not setting your name so much.
Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay, sir.
Okay. So allow us now to touch on a function which has no parameters. What did you say parameters are? List of arguments, right? Or inputs. And they're always inside the first brackets. That's true. Okay. Function with no parameter and return type. No parameter and return type. So this one it has no parameter but has a return type. Yeah. We have saved that one. In this function, you do not pass any parameter but expect return type. Here is an example of it. Here, instructor name is a function which returns instructor name. In the entire program, anyone can use this function to find the name of the instructor. So here we do not have the parameters, but we have the return value or return type. Let's have a look. Function to return instructor's name. Sorry, I don't know what's happening with my throat. Yeah, so string instructor name. You can see that there is no parameters, right? You open the function, you return null. So return is basically written by using the word return. Okay. Void main. Here we are coming out to call the function. Okay. Void main, calling the function and storing the results. So string instructor, we just call the function and we are now storing it again. We're storing it in a variable string, in a variable instructor, which is a string, is equals to the function name. Okay. So you can a variable can also be a function. Like the value of a variable can be a function. Okay? So we print a string instructor is equals to instructor name, which is this function. Okay? So we are now here coming to print the instructor's name. Print the instructor's name is print. Like we're just printing the variable that contains the called function. And there you go to answer. So you just have a look at it. I hope it doesn't confuse you because I've used a variable there. Then you can run it and see if it's true. Can we run?
Yes.
I hope it doesn't look complex because I've used the variable, but we'll see how we can work around with it. So which function is this? Now parameter has return type, right? So let's try this. Instructor name is Alan. Don't worry, we are in the second. This is the second last one. Then now I let you guys have your answer. So observe this. Is it okay? We need further need some few minutes.
What if we remove the return Alan and we kept print Alan? Will it still work the same?
We remove this.
No, the return at line 3.
You know now. This one it has return. Okay? So the return has to be written.
Okay.
It has a return type. Return typed. We just observe and ask many questions. Let's say so no question means it's hard or it means you are digesting. What does it mean? Or you'll ask questions after.
The digestion, the human body digests food after 3 to 4 hours, so we're still digesting.
Somebody else?
Hello.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Alan. So my question is there a way that we can like have these lines of code, like minimize the number of lines of code to maybe half? Like, because when you're writing everything, you're calling each and every function, each and every time.
Oh, like this the green ones.
Yes.
Like you're saying, I can reduce the number of lines.
Yeah.
So I think if I reduce the number of lines, let's say I don't have, because I have to write these ones that are not green. So the green ones are like the documentation, their explanation of what's happened. So if maybe I remove now this one, it will be difficult for you to read and know what's happening. Like you'll just see a line of code and you'll not know what's happening. So if I retain the line, you'll just know that this is the next line is calling the function to get the instructed line. So it's always good to document your work, especially if you want to understand it for a beginner maybe. But if you already know what's happening, you can fail to document. But it's always good to document. Can we touch on the last one now?
Yeah.
So the last one is now the one that combines both parameters and return types. Okay. And this one you might enjoy, guys. This one you might enjoy. So a function to add two integers and return the results. Function to add two integers and return the results. So int add, this is a function to add two integers and return the results. Int add into our parentheses, int a, comma, int b. Who can tell us what int a and int b are? And this one I'm giving out a prize.
Parameters.
Integers.
They are integers.
Parameters.
Next,
Parameters.
parameter.
They are parameters.
Parameters.
Yeah, these are parameters. They're also numbers, yes, but the best we can call them is parameters. Okay. So we already seen that we have parameters, right? We can already see that we have parameters. Then inside our function, we return a plus b. So this is where the return is. So instead of printing sum or saying int sum equals a plus b, use the what? Return. Then we now come to calling our function and printing it. Simple. Void main. Inside our function, we call the function with two integers. Int result. So I'm storing it. So we are storing the result. So we are going to store this. Remember, we just call our function add into brackets, then we put our parameters. But now we want to store it in a variable just to make our work a bit cleaner. Okay. Int result is equals to add. So we've called our function add with its parameters and we've stored it in integer result. Okay, I hope that's clear. Then we just print the result. So we are just interested on printing this variable because it's the one carrying the function that has been called. So print the sum of 10 and 20 is that. So let me just for those of us who want to begin with params with return. Dot that. So this one is it's a bit encouraging. It's not that hard. The sum of 10 and 20 is 10. So we have our parameters and we have our return time. And that is it, my guys. Tough times never last. Digest. Are you now able to do some rough work and make some errors? Have we captured something from the 4 types of functions?
Yes, yes.
Stanley Wells, I see you have a logo of Mercedes Benz.
Dreams are valid.
It's a dream car.
Yes.
All the best. All the best. So have you seen now the 4 types of functions? Okay. Do you want some time to digest it? I can let you enjoy the rest of the lesson. Or do we move to the next one? There is a summary of all the functions we discussed. The code snippet below displays all the functions. So if you have your elements, I'm sure you have it. You should have the summary. Just take the summary and read it on your own. It should really let you move quickly. So the next thing is anonymous functions. A very short topic. What do you know about anonymous? What do you know about anonymous? If I post something anonymously, how will you explain that? Someone might says the module is not anonymous. So someone by, I hope maybe you just specialize in that or you specialized. Yeah, it's specialized in that, but I'm sure all the modules are accessible to you guys. Someone by kindly send me your email, then I let our dev team talk about it. Or rather give answer. So can we move to the next session?
Before you forget, you were to send a form for us who also wanted to join that as we.
Yeah, I talked with our dean,
Uh-huh.
and the form we should have the form ready today.
Okay.
Yeah. because I realized most of you would like to be mobile developers, which I really like, and I'm gonna let you guys come. The door is open, very open. We are going to do it together. So can we move to the next session, to anonymous function, which is in lesson 2? By show of hands.
Yes.
Say yes if you believe
Yes.
that we should move.
Yes.
We can move.
Yes. Let's get going.
Well, go on. I like the spirit. So I asked the question, what do you know about anonymous? If somebody posts something on Twitter anonymously, what can you say about that?
I can say the identity is not known or revealed.
Exactly. They don't have a name. Okay? No name function. I'm gonna go ahead. Opeolua adek. Yeah, so these are functions. So anonymous functions, welcome to the world of nameless heroes, also known as anonymous functions, lambdas or closures. So these functions do all the work of regular ones, but without needing a name. So this one, they don't really have to say, oh, I did this, oh, I'm the one. No, they don't. They just give you the task done, but you will not see, you will not even have their name. So they are super versatile and can handle 0 or many parameters, showing up just when you need them. It's like giving a code a hidden power up, no name, just pure functionality. So pro tip, anonymous functions are awesome for quick one-time tasks or when you need a function on the fly. So remember, we said that you can reuse your function, right? So by just calling a function. So this one that you don't give names, they're only ideal. They just need some quick and one-time task that I'll not need to remember the name of the function. Because this one is sensible, it doesn't have a name. So what will you remember? Okay. So below is a syntax of anonymous function. So you just have your parameters, you open your function, then the body of it. Okay. Knowledge panel. You can assign an anonymous function to a variable. Okay. You can pass an anonymous function as a parameter stroke argument. Let's see what that is. So here we have a function to print name, our normal function, normal one with the name, void print name. My name is Mariam. Then we call Mariam. Yeah, we call a print name. Then you output Mariam. So I'm sure this one we are all conversant. It's like the traditional, not the traditional one, the function that has a name. Okay. What if we want to call it, want to make it anonymous? What if we want to make our function anonymous? Simple. Void main anonymous function assigned to the variable print name. Okay. So var print name is equals to, you open your function, rather you start with a parenthesis of function, you open it, then inside the function, you print message inside the reference function. You're going to print, my name is Maria. So, as you can see here, we've assigned our anonymous function here to this variable print name. So var print name is a variable print name. Okay, is equals to no name function. Then inside the no name function, we have my name is Maria. So what do we come to call here? We call the anonymous function. So what do we call? we call the variable that contained that class function. That's our variable name, print name, which is print. So just look at that sequence of let's have a look at the sequence of where the event is, where the event obtained.
I have a question.
Maybe just 2 minutes.
Okay.
The rest of you can digest it for like 2 minutes. You can now ask.
Okay, my question is, what's the need for anonymous functions instead of just using regular functions?
Like, okay, you can choose to use anonymous function when you just want to be different, or maybe you want to do one task. You know, you can just choose to use it. Ideally, for maybe one task that you don't need to remember the name of the function. Okay, just one task. Is it answer?
Yes.
Okay. Why would you post something anonymously in your Instagram? I'm pretty sure this is just this. I'm sure they will get it communicated with them. You know. It means like it means it's writing the anonymous function. Okay. No, don't be quiet. Have you seen the way anonymous function is written?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So it's basically a function with no name. Okay. Function with no name. So instead of writing the function name here, you just assign it to a variable, print name, and it will do what the function does. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So there's actually another type of function I usually see. Like after print name is equals, there's usually a greater sign in front of the is sign.
We are hearing your echo.
Let me get my headset.
Use one device.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was asking, I've seen some codes where the after var print name, in front of the is equal sign, there's a greater than sign. Is that a type of anonymous function that we're going to cover, or is it another syntax of another program?
That's the next function called arrow function.
Oh,
That's good that you've noted it. So are we now done with, are we okay with arrow functions?
Anonymous
Not arrow
function.
function, anonymous, sorry. Yes, I've given so many examples here. So many examples.
Could we do one more example?
Okay. So
Hello, Alan.
yes.
Yeah, this is what I meant when I asked if you can reduce the lines of code in the functions that we had, because instead of just writing so many functions, printing each and every function, and then so we can use the anonymous functions. It's much easier and reduces the lines of code.
Oh, that's what you were. That's what you meant.
Yes.
Ah, nice. You know, actually, I understood that it was long, but yeah. So
can I ask
yeah, for
another
you to,
question? Oh, so sorry for interrupting.
just proceed.
So can you call multiple anonymous functions inside the void main, or does it have to be one?
We can try. Can we try?
Okay.
So let me use bar. What's the name of function?
Addition, maybe.
Let me just say print can't print age. Is equals to my age is 25. Let me just put my exact age so that you guys can wish me. Somebody guess my age. Somebody guess my age.
32.
Somebody else.
27.
28.
27. So I print.
50.
So we are going to call the second anonymous function, which is print age. Yeah. So you guys have seen I'm 27. Respect your elder. My age is 27. So you can call multiple functions. Okay.
Okay.
You can call multiple functions. Respect your elders though. Can you go to the next one? Another example. Function to print name, that one you're done. Anonymous function to print. In this example, you will learn to use an anonymous function to print all list items. This function invokes each fruit without having a function name. So have a look at it. Have a look. Okay, let's now go look at it. So here we have a list, void main. Inside the function, we have a list of fruits. Okay? So we all know how to write a list. Use a square brackets. So variable fruits is equals to apple, comma, banana, cherry, date. Using an anonymous function, we for each to print each fruit in the list. Okay? So here we are going to use an anonymous function with for each. So for each is used when you want to access a individual item in a list, maybe in a map, for each. Sure, maybe the repo that I shared should be able to see it for each. So fruits. So fruits, here we're talking about the list itself. Fruits dot for each. Fruit dot for each. Sorry. Fruits dot for each. Then parenthesis for each fruit. Remember to open your anonymous function. So here, the function starts here. You see the first parenthesis, there's the function. Then inside it, it has the specific fruit, like we are talking about each fruit. So when you use for each, you don't usually use the plural, use the singular. For each fruit, then inside your function you print the fruit. So this anonymous function will just print a specific fruit from the list, and you can see the output. Anonymous for each. So if we print this guy, it will print each of the item from top to bottom. Apple, banana, cherry, date, all of it. Yeah. So that's how to use an anonymous function to print specific item in the list. So this anonymous guy can be used anywhere. Okay, that's the second example. So you can also use it to print all list items, the same thing. For each item in a list, the same thing, and that's how you get to know it. So guys, the best way to master this is by being practical. Okay, the best way to master this is by being practical. So if you do like 3 examples of anonymous and one full example on types of functions, you should be able to have these things at your fingertips. Okay, remember this is not a theoretical lesson, it's purely practical. So if you don't do any practice, it will not stick. So it's not, yes, we encourage vibe coding, but it should not just be vibes, like you don't know what's happening, you just there. The vibe coding is using the IP code. That one is acceptable. But don't depend on vibes that will just understand out of nowhere. Just do some practice. Yeah. So do you want us to touch on arrow functions, or maybe we can save that for our subsequent class and use this 20 minutes to grasp what we've done. Enoch Protich.
Can you repeat it again? I had some interruption. I had to go through an urgent call.
Oh, I repeat the one for each.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So here we have a list. We have a function, we have void main, our normal void main, and inside it we have a list of words. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have do you know how we usually write list?
Yeah, we enclose it to the square, the square brackets. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have this page. Then we are going to use an anonymous function for each to print each item. So this for each. Usually we usually use when you want to access each item. Okay? So okay. So fruits. So we're now talking about the list. Fruits dot for each. Fruits dot for each. Like for each of it, you open the anonymous function. Remember, anonymous function does not have a name, right? It doesn't have a name. So what do? Inside it, we specify the code because we're talking about one specific item. Fruit. Then we open our function. Then inside our function, we print the fruit now that we've accessed. Each of them. We now print each of the fruits that we accessed. And then we close our. That's how you're able to print a specific item in our whole list. Yeah.
Okay, well understood.
Yeah. Okay. So anonymous function can be used. You can even so it can be used in a variable. In this one, it has a lot of activities. So as you see, as you are progressing, it gets simpler. Somebody said that the code is getting shorter, which is true. Yeah, it's getting shorter. And the next shortest guy is now called arrow function, which I don't know. Arrow function is like an arrow, the way arrow looks like. Yeah. I have one example here. So should we do arrow function or we do it in the next session? By show of hands. Oh, I can give you guys time.
Am I audible?
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Because I'm not going to be able to be available for the next two sessions, but I wanted to ask about I was shocked when I found in terms of the assignment. I wanted you to just to explain to me high order functions, but I do understand that high order functions are functions that have other functions as variable, and also recursive functions. So if you can just give me a bit of clarification, for example, when you speak of high order function, is there a certain methodology in terms of a set of steps that you need to take, or you just have to sort of practice in terms of understanding how would you use them? Yeah, I hope you understand what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I think say practice will make it perfect. Okay. I think practice will unlock many things. So let's say functions in that. Let me just share another resource. Are we together? They want to answer the question. Are we together?
Yes, yes, we are.
Yeah, I think practice is the only thing that will make it perfect. Okay, practice is everything. Like it's just like mathematics. It's not theory. I'm not clear. I'll share that side. Yeah, practice is everything. Right? Okay? So if you practice, everything is good. It will be so easy for you to manage. So, do you want us to run through our functions?
Yes, it's okay.
It should only take 10 minutes.
Okay.
Are you tired? Are you tired? Well, I know you are tired, but can we look at arrow functions?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay, yeah. Thank you. So arrow functions. So if you want to declare a function with one single line and keep things super specific, that's got your back with the fat arrow function. It is as simple as using the is equals to and greater than simple symbol, and boom, you've got yourself a one-liner function. So here we're trying to use the number of lines a function has. Okay, instead of us using the curly brackets, parentheses, everything, it's perfect when you are in a hurry or you just want to keep things tidy. So let's just tackle one example. Okay? One example, and then the rest we can capture later. So calculate a simple interest without an arrow function. For example is below, but just for the easiest way, the easiest one is let's run the name. Let's calculate. Let's not calculate. Let's print out the name using an arrow function, the name area. So simple arrow functions to print name. Okay. It is simple. It's only one line, and let's have a look. Void print name. That's our function, right? This is our function, right? Then instead of using this and maybe taking a step down like this, we are now moving away from that. Okay, we have moved away from that. That's long. It's traditional. So how do you write an arrow function? You just put is equals to and a greater than sign, and then you print what you wanted your function to print. Then after that, you just come and call it, and you are done. It's as short as the explanation page. Arrow. Are we seeing it, guys?
Yes.
There's no bulk. There's no much code. You see, and I've removed this arrow, and I put this parenthesis, this curly bracket. Control X. I paste it in. You see, now I have too many lines. You know, I have too many lines. So at it, I want one line function. I don't need all these things, guys. So I just do that. So this is what we call a fat arrow, which now stands for an arrow function. There you go. And you say my name is Nikia. That's simple. It hasn't even taken 5 minutes, right? Yeah. Are we seeing it? Are we digesting it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So from the look of things, which function would you prefer to use? The long one or the arrow one?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
Can we use arrow function to print list?
Print a list.
Yes.
Yeah, can be done. Like it
And
can be used to do anything that a function is doing. You see the way the other function was long. The only difference is that we have not used this one. Okay? That's the only difference. So we've replaced it is equal to and a greater than.
so in this scenario, where do we incorporate the list after the void main print down on the top, the first line,
It depends.
second one.
It depends now on your list. Like, what was your list going to do? For example, you see this one that we had anonymous.
Can you use this example, son?
You see now this one.
Yeah.
So it depends. What was your function? What was your function trying to do? So where you just have this one is anonymous, where your function had the parentheses or the curly braces. See this one, the curly bracket.
Yeah.
Where this one is, replace it with an R, and it does the same thing. Yeah, and that one I'm throwing you the short assignment. Just for practice. So that you don't sleep, you know. So that's the shortest. So from the functions you've done, which one would you prefer to use? With the arrow?
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
So for void main, can you use arrow function?
Yes. You can use. Can we try?
Is it really possible? I'm using void main, I think is the main function that it will run all the code.
No, I've replaced the curly braces with an arrow function. It's possible.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen.
What next? So do you prefer the long one or the short one?
The shorter one.
Shorter. Of course, short.
The long one,
So
the long one
The
looks more
shorter one.
structured.
the long one looks more complex.
More structured.
The longer one.
Okay. So it's up to you.
Arrow.
All right. So allow me to stop recording, then we can talk a bit.